Alright, guys, before you see this amazing interview that is done on this, I mean, it's just amazing. You guys, it's precious. And they talk about autism acceptance and awareness. And guys, this is so sweet. This actually made me cry because not many people want to really be friends with us. And to know that someone like her and Christie, they talk to me and they always tell me, you can do anything you want to do. And I've been YouTubing for almost 2 years now, and when they found out I was YouTubing, they were really happy for me. Like, you can do anything you want to. You're strong. That means so much to me because I never thought I was much of anything. And to know that they care this much to make this interview. This is just so precious, you guys. This brought me to tears in a good way. You guys are going to see what I'm talking about. You're going to see your vlog later on tonight, but this right here, I wanted to put separately because, guys, oh, man. This got me ugly crying, but in a good way. To know what I know now, it just means everything to me. It really does. I love you guys so much. Scarlet and Christie are coming up next, and they're doing an interview. Christie's interviewing Scarlet about how we became best friends and what motivated her to want to talk to me. After everybody has always said that autistic people wouldn't know. And we do. We're smarter than anyone else. I mean, people said I'd never be a YouTuber, and here I am, almost 2 years later, being a YouTuber. A year in shut up, phone. A year with a bigger channel. Almost a year with a bigger channel. Because of Chris and Melissa over at Special Books, Special Kids. I mean, who would have thought that I'd be where I am right now? And it's thanks to you guys right here that I am where I am. And it's a special thanks to Scarlet and Christie and Casey and Angel that I'm where I am now. I love you guys. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it.
Hi everybody, it's Christie here, and welcome to our special awesome family. Okay, so as you know, it's Autism Awareness Month, and so I decided I'm going to interview Mommy.
You're going to interview me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, why did you choose to have a conversation with an autistic person?
Well, when I first met Nana, I'm assuming you're meaning Nana, correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, when I first met her, I had no idea she was autistic.
Really?
Yeah, I did not know Nana was autistic.
What the heck?
Really? I had no idea she was autistic at the time until she told me when we first started talking. And to me, I would never have guessed it at all. Just, getting to know her, getting to talk to her. I mean, if you met her just on phone, you wouldn't know it right away.
Okay, so what made you choose to stay instead of bolt like a maniac like some people do?
Well, because Nana's funny. Nana, as you know, is a total kook. She's a goofball. She's a riot. I mean, you get to know this woman and you're going, what the hell? I mean, this woman is, she's a kook. Affectionately, we call her a kook. Because she can you can have a shitty day, call Rocky on the phone, not even a minute later, you're laughing your head off, crying because your sides are splitting. I mean, this woman is a freaking riot. She is the best friend anyone could have. Anybody should have a best friend like Rocky, because Rocky is someone that a lot of people try to avoid. because of her condition. And it's stupid, if you want me to be honest. It's stupid that people try to avoid her, because it honestly, it upsets me, it hurts me, it makes me mad.
What do you say to the people who say that Nana isn't normal?
I tell them to grow up and look in the mirror, because what's normal anyway? You know, normal is what you make it. Rocky's normal in her own way. I'm normal in my own way. You're normal in your own way. I mean, I'm blind, but that does not make me abnormal. You're a reborn. That doesn't make you abnormal. You know, it's like this. Just because we have differences, if this world, if we were all the same, it would be one boring ass world. It wouldn't be, you know, it wouldn't be a fun world to live in. It wouldn't be the type of world I would want to live in. I would want to live in a world where there's differences. You know, differences make us who we are. They make us unique. They make us our own person. We're not all the same. We're not going to be the same. The thing is, we just need to learn to tolerate each other. And, you know, yeah, there's going to be squabbles. But at the same time, you know, there's times where you just got to understand that, you know, there's differences in people. You know, just because somebody's autistic does not mean that they're weird, does not make them stupid, does not make them abnormal, does not make them a wacko, you know, does not make them less of a human being. They're people, they want friends just like anybody else does. You know, their brains are just wired differently. So what? There are people that do not have autism whose brains are not wired the right way. And those are NASCAR drivers. They're speeding around the track at over 200 mile an hour. You know, their brains are wired differently, you know. And that's not autism. That's just, you know, the brain's just wired different. You know, and, you know, that doesn't make them weird. That doesn't make them stupid. That doesn't make them, you know, abnormal. You know, daring. Yeah, I could use that word to describe them. They're daredevils. But, I mean, can we say adrenaline rush for them? I would say so. But, you know, people are not weird just because of what they do, what they love to do. We love to do the virtual. That does not make us weird. We want friends just as much as anybody else does.
Okay. What can you affectionately call Nana? But you have to be careful when you do this to somebody with autism.
Well, I jokingly, affectionately call her my crazy autistic boxer puppy. Because that's, you know, my little goofy nickname for her. Because, you know, she is crazy in her own fun way. Crazy, not meaning mentally crazy, not meaning, you know, insane or anything. But crazy in a good way. Because crazy doesn't have to be a mean term to use. But she's my crazy, autistic, goober boxer puppy. You know, that's my other version of it. You know, or I'll call her sometimes I'll take the boxer puppy off and just call her a crazy autistic gooberhead. And you know, I can do that because she knows I'm not putting down her condition. She knows I'm not making fun of her condition. You got to know your autistic best friend before you can go and make wisecracks like that. You got to know what their limitations are and what what they can handle and what they can't. You know, because some of them might not be able to handle a joke like that, whereas Puppy can. And, you know, because our nickname's Puppy. We call her Puppy or Puttapee. And it's so funny because, you know, we have good times together. We have some fun times. And her mom, Nana Debbie, always calls me and her the Bobsey twins. Because we're just so much alike and we're not even related. We're not biologically related. But if you see us together, you'd be sitting there calling us liars because you'd be thinking, yeah, right. You two are related somehow. Come on. You're related. Don't give me that. You would be thinking, yeah, right. You guys are related. you've got to be related. Nope. Unfortunately, we're not biologically. Boo. But, you know, we have good times. We really do.
Okay, so what was it about Nana that drew you to her as a best friend?
Well, her sense of humor, for one. Her crazy sense of humor, because we're both just quirky. We're quirky like that. Her love of music, her love of singing. Oh my God. Okay, I'm calling her out. I don't care. She's going to kill me, but I'm calling her out. You guys don't know this if you haven't heard her, but this woman right here, Miss Rocky here, she's got one hell of a singing voice. I'm calling her out. I'm calling her out. She can sing. And I've heard several people with autism belt them out, buddy. People with autism can, as some people would say, they can blow. And that's another phrase of saying they can belt them. Some of them have a set of pipes on them like you wouldn't believe. I mean, oh my gosh. I've heard a guy friend of mine who's high functioning autistic, just like Puppy here. And let me tell you, that man, oh my gosh, can that man sing? Bring you to freaking tears if you want me to be point blunt with you. I mean, the man is just gifted. Just because somebody has, that's autistic or has autism, whatever way you want to see it, does not make them a less talented individual. Let me tell you. Our friend that we have, I'm not going to say their name because I don't have permission to say their name on YouTube, but oh my gosh, man, his voice, he has a gorgeous voice. He brought me to tears a few times. A couple of years ago, he's a coworker of me and DJ, Nick V, that, Christie affectionately calls Uncle Nick. He's a coworker of ours. And basically, he was asking about something, talking about things. And I sent him a message and I said, hey, it's not really for your show, but I have a request for you. I said, your best friend, which is our boss, I said, your best friend Herbie, I said, he told me that you sing Marvelous Toy really good. Would you mind sending me a snippet of it? He did one better. Now, mind you, by that time, I knew he was autistic. This dude, you know what he did, you guys? Now, mind you, this man's busy. He does all sorts of stuff. He does singing gigs and he does other things. You know what this man took the time to do? Record the whole song and email it to me. But you know what he did? He didn't email it directly to me. Oh, no. Autistics are known for tricking you with fun surprises. This man snuck it to his best friend Herbie, who slipped it to me and surprised me with it. I had no idea he did it. The next morning, I seen it, and I started to cry. You guys, I lost it. I freaking lost it. I mean, I didn't know what to think when I seen it. And let me tell you, when I heard it, it was worth the surprise. Because man, did he nail it. Oh my gosh, did he freaking nail it. I mean, he is a talented instrumentalist. I don't know if he plays more than keyboard. I'd have to ask him on that. But he is a talented instrumentalist and a very, very talented singer and jingle creator. He's just so good. And, like I said, I'm not saying names, but those who know him know exactly who I'm talking about. He's just a gifted individual.
Okay, so what are some of your favorite memories of Nana?
Oh, God. Oh, ew. Oh, man. Well, one of them was the way Crazy Lonzy introduced us. I didn't know her at the time. And again, he did not tell me that she was autistic. He left that out because he wanted me to meet her. Right? He wanted her to be the one to tell me instead of him doing it, because he's not one of these people that's just going to spread somebody's conditions out there. So he got me to meet her because he said that she listened to an old podcast of mine. And I'm like, oh, wow. And I thought he was talking about my memoirs show that I used to have. No, he was talking about my Reborn podcast. And because she had Reborns too. And I'm like, oh my God, really? And I did not know the woman from Adam. Okay, because she wasn't up on Team Talk with us, so I didn't know her. Well, anyway, so I'm sitting there, and we get onto a FaceTime call, me, Nick, him, and a couple others. You know, her, and of course, it was Nick's ex at the time. Or Nick's girlfriend at the time, I should say. They weren't exes yet. They were together still. I had to think for a minute. Blech. Anyway, they were still together at the time. And we was all five on this call, and I met her. And she was literally giddy. Oh my gosh. Mama Rocky was giddy like a 4-year-old. She was like a 4-year-old on a sugar high, is the way to describe her. She was giddy. Oh my God, was she giddy, y'all. She was just like, she was going nuts, just flipping out when she met me. I was like, I seriously, guys, felt like Reba McEntire or, you know, somebody like that, a famous singer getting to meet, you know, meeting one of their fans. It was like she was the fan and I was the singer, you know, even though she didn't know I was a singer at the time. She just knew me as, you know, the Reborn mom. And she was just going nuts. And it was so funny. She was just, seriously, it was so freaking funny. Another memory I have of her was basically, this was, let me think. It was like a month or so after that. We was up on Team Talk this time. Now she was up there with us. And this daggone storm scared the crap out of me. Because Crazy Nick, he didn't warn me that storms were loud. On Team Talk, amplified. Okay? Didn't warn me that Team Talk amplified your headset to 11. And I'm sitting there on the show with him. We were on a voice break. And all of a sudden, this thunder just claps really loud because Lonzy's getting ready to go into the music. And my exact words, what the hell was that? And literally, I was freaking, it scared me to death. And I'll never forget it either. I will never freaking forget it. And we got off the air and Rocky's like, are you all right? I'm like, no, my ears are blasted. Thank you, Nick, for not telling me about Team Talk doing that. Next thing I know, here comes Lonzy's mother running up the stairs full speed ahead to check on me because she heard me freak. Because she was listening to that show that day. Checking on me to make sure I was okay. Oh my gosh, it was nuts. It was freaking nuts. Let's see. And, you know, some of the old podcasts that we did were just funny as crap. Especially the wine tasting one. Oh, Lord, that was funny that we did. We had a wine tasting podcast that was funny. Let me think, what other one was funny as heck? I mean, there's just so many funny memories that we have. And, you know, all I'll say is dag blast the idiot that tried to separate our family. Dag blast them. What do you say to that person that tried to do that? You lose. 2 words, you lose. You can't break up an awesome family. Right, Kitty Cat? Darn right. Yeah, and one thing I will tell you. Is if you're listening and you have a close friend, my message to you is don't let idiots get in the way of that friendship. Don't let a toxic idiot, troll, come between your friendship. Especially if it's a good friendship and it's not a toxic one. Because let's just say that's basically what happened with me and Rocky for a while. A toxic troll on podcasts when we were doing the podcasting tried to split our family. And that's not cool. That's why we decided to give up podcast and go to something else. Because they judged us for doing what we do. And they, not only that, they basically just slandered me to her to me, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, tried to split our family up. Just remember, trolls are trolls. They'll do what they do. Don't let them ruin a good friendship. It's not worth it. If you got a best friend, hold them tight. Don't let them go. Because you know what? They could be gone in an instant. You could let a troll ruin a friendship, and guess what? They could be gone in an instant. I had a best friend who basically gave me my name, Scarlet. And, you know, a troll didn't ruin it. We were best friends to his death. But he was suddenly just taken right out from under me. Just boom, and gone. And he was like a father figure to me. And he called me his little Scarlet. Again, I'm not going to say names, but he, you know, he called me that, and somebody else who died called me that. Somebody else did it first, and then he joined in. He didn't start it, but somebody else did. But he always called me his little Scarlet, and it just, when he did it too, I loved it. And, you know, it's like this. Best friends are hard to come by. They really are. And best friends like Miss Crazy Autistic Gooberhead Puppy, yeah, they're really freaking rare.
Yep. Very, very, very rare. Okay. So how do you, when you have to tell Nana something, let's say, for example, there's people who don't know how to explain something to an autistic. And they come to you and go, okay, you need to tell Nana this. You got to tell Rocky. You know, Rocky needs to know this. You do it, because I can't. How do you do it?
Well, it depends on what it is. Sometimes I have to, for example, I'm pretty techie. I'm a total geek, okay? I'm a tech geek. Or a nerd, as some people likes to say. And Mom is not really a techie. She can do technology, but you've got to basically break it down for her in small steps and small words so you don't overwhelm her brain. Because if you overwhelm an autistic, that's not a bright move on your part. As some people would say, bright move, Brainiac. That's not a bright move, Brainiac. That's a dumb move, Brainiac. If you overload an autistic, it's not a good idea. You've got to slow down, have patience with an autistic, because you don't want to overload one. That's the worst thing to do, is to overload them to the point they're like, help. You basically just want to slow it down, give it to them in small baby steps. If they have to have baby steps or whatever size step they need, and give it to them in the wording that they can understand. And help them that way. And if, it's just something you got to explain to them, again, put it to them in a way they can understand it. Instead of using huge words, you've got to put it in a comprehensive way that they can just latch onto it, to where they'll understand what you're saying, rather than basically how some people just call them stupid and think they're, not right in the head. Just explain it to them in a way, in a calm way, in a laid back way. Teach them. They want to learn. They want to be just like anyone else does. And so you want to just teach them slow and easy and methodical, so that they learn different things. Like, for example, Mom down the road wants to get her an air fryer. Now, I told her setting it up is going to be a pain in the ass, because it is. I had trouble, getting it, but me and my staff did, and I managed to make it work and got it to connect. And I promised her what I would do is give her my little note of air fryer instructions. I would give her my air fryer instructions so that she could have those of the frozen stuff that I cook, so that Mom would have it and she could put it in her notes and save it, so that she would know. All she'd have to do is go in, listen to the notes several times, and it tells her how many minutes, the temperature, and the degrees. So, for example, it would say potato skins, 360 degrees, 15 minutes. And that's the large box, which I'll go in and put in large box. I have to make sure to do that, because I'll have to edit that and put, how many minutes to do the small box for. That way it's all put in there together. It's not, different. Everything needs to be put in there for her to understand. That's the best way to explain things to somebody who's autistic. Just slow it down, have patience, don't lose your head yourself and try saying that they've lost theirs, because it's you that's lost yours, because you're not slowing down and being patient with them. You have to be patient. And I know people who try to explain things to Mom and they lose their head, literally. I mean, they just fly off the handle at her and make her cry. Don't do that. Don't lose your, cool when you're trying to explain something to her. Slow down and calmly explain it in not huge words, but things that she could understand. Tell her something. And if you're giving her advice, the same thing. Don't sit there and go, Rocky, you're bad. You did this wrong. Blah, 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 blah. No. Explain to her how to do something instead of saying, this is how you do it, and then you just tell her basically how bad she is because she didn't do it right. No. You've got to explain something to her and give her advice in a calm way and tell her, look, this is how you do this, or this is how you say this. Because there's times where she'd come to me and go, okay, this is what's going on, this is the situation, how do I handle this? And some people think I'm autistic.
Why do they think you're autistic, Mom?
Because I can act like one. I basically can think like an autistic. Somehow, I don't know how. Even before I met her, it was like when I realized she was autistic, it was like, hello, a bulb clicked on with me. And the first time she had an issue, we had the issue, technically, I was able to help her through it. Because it was like our issue. We were having an issue. We were fighting with something. I can't remember what it was. Backpack, I think. We got into fightlets with something, I tell you. I don't know what we were fighting with. I can't remember now. But we both, because I was trying to help her, and we got into a tag team match with this app or whatever it was, and I helped her through. And I didn't know really what the hell I was doing. I was just trying to help her and try to keep her calm. And one of the things I taught her was, okay, puppy, you get frustrated, you have autism, you don't want to be overloaded. That's the biggest thing. When you have autism, you don't want to be overloaded. Your brain's going to just like, bleh, no, forget it. And you're just going to go haywire. I said, even with people without autism, I said, puppy, what we do, and here's something you should definitely take advice from, is if it's frustrating the crap out of you, walk away from it. Give it up for a while. Just give it up. Calm down, then go back to it. But give it up for an hour or two. Give up your goal of fixing that tonight and, sleep on it. If it's late, just give up your goal of fixing it tonight and sleep on it till tomorrow. Then go back at it. Or if it's afternoon, give up your goal of fixing that for the next few hours and just do something else. Do something fun. Get your mind off of that. And it's like, that's what you do. You help them through things. Help them through triggers. And, if something triggers them, or if they're doing something new that they've never done, help them through it. Stick by them and help them through. Instead of just running away, help them through the situation, especially if it's a new experience for them. Because they're going to need that. They need the support. They need to know, okay, you're doing this good. You're doing that good. They need somebody to tell them compliments, not bash them down because of their conditions. Nobody wants to be judged because of their conditions. They want to be lifted up just like anybody else does. They want to be supported. They want to be loved. They want to be somebody you could hang out with. Just because someone's autistic does not mean they're not friendly. That does not mean they can't be a good friend. That does not mean that a friendship can't blossom with a person without autism being friends with somebody with autism. Because there's probably a lot more people out there that have autism that don't even know it. Because it is a spectrum. And, there's probably a lot of people out there who don't even know they have it. They aren't even tested for it. I mean, it's very likely. And it's just crazy how people can just sit there. Crazy, this kind of crazy is bad crazy. It's crazy how people can just sit there and judge, not caring about the person's feelings at all, and just, well, you know, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. You're just, I don't want you around. That's wrong. That's the bad type of crazy. Because, you know, just because they have a condition that's different than you does not make them bad, does not make them abnormal, does not make them weird, does not make them any less of a human, does not make them any less of a friend.
So how would you tell somebody to reach out to an autistic?
Well, a lot of times, there's two ways of doing it. A lot of times, autistics will approach you because they want to be friends. And if that happens, and let's say, for example, they're nonverbal and they just come up and just start approaching, just talk to them like a normal person. They might not be able to talk back, or they might have to talk in a different way. But so what? Just because they talk in a different way, their own way, because they're nonverbal. For example, they might come up if they're, you know, like a small child, even if they're an adult. They might come up and try to hand you a toy or something. Play with them. Be a kid for a bit. You know, join their little circle. You know, because autistics, a lot of them don't have a lot of friends. And it's sad, to be honest with you. It breaks my heart to even say that. It really does. But, you know, some of the nonverbals, they might come up and want to show you something. Or they might have a toy they want to play with if it's a little kid. You know, whether you're a teenage kid, you know, an older kid, you know, let's say they're probably 5, 6 and you're about 8 or 9. Play with the little autistic child. Okay? Play with the toy with them. They're a kid too. They want to be accepted too. You want to be accepted. You don't want to be bullied and chastised and made fun of, children. So play with the other children. Just because they have disabilities, kids, don't make it right that you judge them. Start at a young age. Teach these adults a lesson. Because you know what? You could teach a lot being kids. Kids could teach adults a lesson. And vice versa. You adults, if you're watching this, you see, for example, an adult autistic that does that, acts like a little kid if they're nonverbal, or, you know, has, you know, different things wrong with them or whatever. Go up to them, approach them, and just say, hey, how you doing? You know, approach the family and just start talking to the family. You know, include the autistic kid or adult. Get your kids involved and teach them about special needs. Because you know what? People with special needs need to be treated a heck of a lot better in this country. They do. And we as humans need to start doing that. I mean, I grew up in a public school. I was not put in the school for the blind. My grandma was like, oh, hell no. I want her to be friends with people with disabilities, but I don't want her to be only around people with disabilities, because I want her to be able to know both sides. My best friend in high school was deaf. We went all the way up through elementary and high school together. He was deaf. And damn, do I miss doing sign language. I miss that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember it anymore. But when I was in school, in elementary school, his interpreter taught me sign language. And she did it physically. Okay, she got physical with me. She basically took my hand and did the letters in my hand and taught me it. And guess what? I could sign to my best friend who was deaf. He could see what I wrote. And then you know what he did? He did the same thing his interpreter did. He got physical. He took my hand and signed in my hand. And I knew what he was saying. And let me tell you, I do miss it. I would love to learn sign again. I really would, honestly. And that's something I might even ask my SSA about, just because I want to learn it again. That would be cool, to learn how to do that again. Because, you know, if I ever do that and I need to, you know, go out in public and there's a deaf person, I want to be able to sign if they need sign language. I want to be able to communicate with, you know, deaf or hard of hearing people. I want to be able to do that. And let me tell you, having a best friend that was deaf, that was cool. And not only that, little did I know that little did I know, you guys, that I had a cousin who was deaf. I knew about my best friend who was deaf, but I didn't know my cousin was. And so I learned sign language. Well, guess what? When they told me about my female cousin, they got me to practice on her. Now, not only was my cousin able to read it, she did the exact same thing. Her mom told her, okay, you got to do it in her hand. She can't see. She signed to her, do it in her hand, and she'll know what you're saying. So she comes up and signed hello in my hand. I'm Jenny. And it was just so freaking cool. God rest her soul. My cousin's gone now. But we were just, you know, we were so close because we both had disabilities. And my cousin was a goof. Oh my gosh, was she a goofball. Oh Lord have mercy. Us two, we had fun. And when she got older, you know, not only did she sign, but she read lips. And with her, now some can read it when you're talking really quick. Others, nope. So again, it depends on the person's capabilities. Some can read sign language really fast. Like my friend Corey, he was a quick signer. I'm like, damn. I learned to read his signing fast because he would quit. Jenny was slow and methodical with hers. So it was easy to understand her more, you know, when it came to that. Now, of course, they could talk, but they had, you know, their speech impediments. But sometimes they didn't want to say things, especially if they got emotional, like when my best friend died. My cousin didn't want to talk to me. She wanted to just, she couldn't speak, really. She cried too hard, which I was too. So we signed because we were just so upset at her funeral. We were sitting there signing to each other. And the preacher just loved watching us communicate that way because we were just so upset that we couldn't handle talking. We just spoke in sign language. So, I mean, it's good to have multiple ways of talking to people, especially if, you know, you need to. Because, you know, getting to know people the way they are and meeting them at their level, that's the best way to make a friend. Especially, you know, like I said, meeting an autistic on their level. Or any special needs person. Don't be afraid to walk up to a person in a wheelchair and just start talking to them. Don't be afraid of them, and teach your children the same thing. And kids, don't be afraid to go up to an adult in a wheelchair and just start talking. They're not going to be ashamed to talk to you. Now, there are people that, you know, are nonverbal in wheelchairs. And again, they know how to communicate in their own special little way. I had a best friend, Emily, who couldn't talk. She was completely nonverbal. And she communicated with physical touch. And her thing was, she loved to boogie. And she would dance in her wheelchair. And the staff, because they liked to get involved with their people, came up to me and they said, can you teach us how to do this? We want to know how you dance with her in that wheelchair, because her wheelchair was oh God, this thing was a bulky, like big, bulky wheelchair. And people were afraid I was going to get hurt spinning around, because Emily liked to spin me. Now, her wheelchair was one of these ones, and it was electric, but it looked almost like it was manual, because its wheels were way out to the side of the daggum thing. Okay, this wheelchair was weird. The wheelchair itself was weird, because it looked like more of a freaking huge, oversized vehicle, in a sense. This thing was huge. It was bigger than poor Emily, I tell you. I joked her and told her I was going to jump in and ride, and she laughed at me. She thought it was funny. Because, I mean, it was, this thing was wacko. I always joked her and said it was the wacko wheelchair, because this thing was, like, huge. The wheels were freaking almost taller than the freaking armrests. I mean, this thing was the Stegosaurus of wheelchairs. It was a funny looking wheelchair, let me tell you. It was crazy. But she could maneuver that thing around there like a maniac. I mean, that girl was just, oh my gosh, she was so cool. Is, always will be one of the coolest. And we would dance, and I would spin around, and I would never hit the wheels. And they're like, how the hell do you do that? We want to know how you dance with her. So I showed them. I had no problem teaching. I have no problem teaching people stuff. You want to know things? I have no problem teaching you how to handle situations. You know, I don't have a problem with it. I have no issue whatsoever at helping people. And, you know, it was so funny, because we'd dance, and she actually would go, and usually this place, they would not let the people with disabilities guide each other or help each other. It was always staff with the clients, right? Well, of course, there's not as many staff there to help, so they have to basically be around one area. This is how good Emily was with me. They let that girl walk me. I'd hold on to the back of her chair or hold on to her arm, even though she was in a wheelchair. I would hold on to her elbow while she would drive the wheelchair, and she didn't go driving like a maniac when she had me. She would go real slow, and her staff, they noticed it, and they trusted her to guide me. Well, we was at that same dance where I was showing them that, and basically Emily took me to the ladies' room, and she could literally lean out of the chair, open doors, everything. I mean, she was very independent for her, for her conditions. We went in, and she would check stalls, make sure they were clean, and would not let me go into a dirty stall. I would go in, and she waited on me. She turned herself around and waited on me. I washed my hands, and then she went up, pushed the door open. We came out, and my staff was waiting for me in the lobby, right? Because she had gotten there, because she dropped us off, because we didn't need, staff there all the time. She dropped us off, and she pulls up, and she's like, hey, where is she at? Because she came in. She goes, hey, where'd she go? And they're like, Emily's got her. She's in the ladies' room. And they were like, and they stood there and watched her. And here we come down the hallway. I'm holding on to Emily's chair. And that's where my little girl, Emily, that's who she was named after, was my best friend, Emily. And another thing she did at that same dance was, I'm standing there, and you know how when you're dancing, you're a girl, you lose your straps. Your bra falls down. Whoops. And you're not, and if you're busy and you're dancing and you don't notice it, it's like, what? Well, that's what happened to me. Emily reached over and tapped me on the bra strap and showed me it's below my shirt sleeve. I'm like, oops, see? And so I had to pull my strap up because it had fallen out from, fallen down. It wasn't off of me, of course. I didn't have a complete wardrobe malfunction. But it just fell out of my, just fell down off my shoulder because I was dancing. And I was like, whoa, hello. And I just pulled the thing back up and I was good to go. I mean, she did a physical touch to warn me, hey, your strap's down. Because, of course, my other friend was not paying attention to see it. And so Emily did. And just communicated because she couldn't talk. So she just tapped on it. And they saw her. The staff saw her. And they're like, wow, the way she communicates is just beyond unbelievable. I mean, she was cool. And I had another bestie in a wheelchair, and she was a hoot and a half. Oh, God, you get me and her together. And her sister was my classmate, and her sister wasn't in a wheelchair. And she was a riot. Oh, God. She was another bestie. And people always say you can't have more than one best friend. Yes, you can. My best friend Sue was the bomb.com. I loved her to death. I still do. She unfortunately is gone as well. And because her condition took her life. And let me tell you, oh my gosh, she was a riot and a half. And we would laugh, cut up, just crack up, laughing about all sorts of stuff. And my aunt, and I refuse to say step aunt. I hate that. I hate the step word because to me, she was my aunt. Her name was Sherry, and she was nonverbal CP, and she was quadplegic. And let me tell you, we had so much fun together. For a while, I couldn't listen to the song Sherry by the Four Seasons. I couldn't do it. It would just trigger the waterworks too bad because I thought of her all the time when she died. And she was so tiny, she slept in a baby crib. And when I would come down, they'd put her in the adult bed and put me in there with her because she didn't want to be away from me a lot of the time. Because, of course, again, we were the only two with disabilities. Usually when I would come down with my family, because my cousin wasn't there a lot of the time. But basically, me and her, we would get along so well. They would bring us down. They'd put her down there. They'd take her out of her wheelchair. Grandpa would carry her down. They would push the wheelchair down the hill. Because her wheelchair was a crazy thing. That thing, oh my word. That one was a manual and it was a pain in the butt trying to get it down a hill. And we'd put her in her wheelchair on the dock. I'd sit with her, play music, and sing while they would go out on the boat sometimes because they love to go out and go tubing. Well, they'd put us up on the dock and they could see us from, the boat. They could see us. And I would just sing with her. And she loved it. And she could say, she got to where she was verbal a little bit. She was somewhat verbal, but not quite to the point of being verbal quadplegic. But she could say mama, rock, hi, certain things, just a few little words. And one day I was in the rocking chair and I wasn't ready for this one. I'm sitting there and she looks over at Grandma. God rest Grandma's soul. She looked over at her, rock. And Grandma didn't want to rock. Grandma wanted to do some, because she was doing chores, and she goes, hey, do you mind rocking Sherry? And I was like, no, I don't mind. So they picked her up and put her in my lap. And she just went nuts. And Grandma brought the radio, sat the radio there, and I was just singing, and my mom just bawled her eyes out. Because we had such fun, me and Sherry did. It was so much fun. And mind you, I'm just blind. That's the only condition I really have. And a lot of my friends were a lot worse off than me. But I put myself in their shoes and enjoyed life with them. Because you know what? Life is too short not to have fun. You could have most special friend in the world that you're not giving a chance to because they have a special need. Don't do that. Take a chance. I challenge any of you right now to take a chance and be a friend to somebody with a special need. Because people, special needs kids and special needs adults, they want friends. They need friends. Okay? And you could be the best friend they've never had. You know it? You could be the best friend they've ever had if you just stop what you're doing and include them. Because you know what? They could be the best friend you've ever had too. Yep. So just take a chance and be a friend today. Be a friend for life. Because you know what? That's what people with special needs want. A friend for life. So, have fun with them. No matter what their need is. Because you know what? You could be a lifesaver. Because I will tell you, you could be the one that saves that person's life in the sense of you could prolong their life and let them live even longer because they have a reason to fight to live, especially if they have a severe condition. And even if they don't, some people with special needs are depressed. And does anybody know what depression leads to? Christie, what does it lead to?
Suicide.
Yep.
And that's not good. Trust me, Mommy's been there.
Yes, I have. But you know what? You could be the one that would save that person's life just by being their friend and being there for them. Because that is the biggest thing people with special needs absolutely need, is a best friend. So I hope you enjoyed our little talk today. And you never know when I'll just pop right in and say something again sometime. Love you guys and God bless.